Hello everyone, my name is Alexander and I am a product marketing manager of TeamCity. Every year we release two major versions of TeamCity, and in this talk I will give you a very brief overview of the new features that we released in 2021. Let's get started with authentication. This year we've extended the list of authentication modules in TeamCity and added support for two new modules, Azure DevOps and JetBrains Space. If you are not familiar with JetBrains Space, it's a new collaboration environment released by our company roughly 1 year ago, and you are very welcome to go and check it out. In addition to these new login options, we've also added two-factor authentication. With it, TeamCity will prompt you to enter a confirmation code from your Authenticator app on your phone every time you do the sign-in. Next, let's take a look at new and updated build runners. This year we've added the new build runner for building Node.js applications. It has all the features that you would expect from it. It supports NPM and Yarn, it can work with public and private registries, and it automatically detects build steps based on package JSON when you create a new project. Just like all other build runners, you can run your builds inside a Docker container, see what changed, analyze failures, assign investigations, and so on. Just use all of your favorite features of TeamCity. Another new build runner is the Kotlin script runner. Kotlin is great, not only because it's the language that is developed by JetBrains, but because we believe that it enables so many new ways of building software. If you're like most of our users, then you're probably familiar with the command line runner, right? It lets you run arbitrary commands, but it also has a lot of limitations. Unlike command line, the new Kotlin script runner is cross-platform, it supports importing external libraries, and it integrates with all the TeamCity features. We believe that it will be great for all the scenarios where you currently use the command line runner. For those who don't speak Kotlin, we've created a similar runner that lets you write build steps using C# scripts. Say that you need to set up a build environment, manage some Windows processes, or simply move some files around. Earlier, your main option was to do it in PowerShell. And for many users, it meant Google how to do something in PowerShell, right? Starting with this year, you have the new C# script build runner. It is cross-platform, it works on any system with Docker, and it comes with built-in support for NuGet. And of course, it integrates very well with all the TeamCity features. In addition to the new build runners, we've updated the ReSharper inspections and ReSharper duplicates finder. They became cross-platform and can now run in Docker. And one more new feature is thread dumps for Docker-based Java builds. TeamCity has always allowed viewing thread dumps of processes running on build agents. However, when your build was run in Docker, this was very difficult. And now you can view thread dumps of Java processes running in Docker container, and this works on any operating system. Next, let's talk about our Perforce integration. Of all the different version control systems, Perforce Helix holds a special place because TeamCity plus Perforce is the de facto standard in many industries. And this year, we've added a lot to this integration. I will not describe every feature in detail, but this list includes improved commits hook setup, manual and automatic cleanup of Perforce workspaces that are created by the TeamCity server, support for the change view specifications, ability to run personal builds with changes from shelved change lists, the new Perforce shelf trigger, support for Perforce Swarm in the commit status publisher build feature, support for automatic labels in the VCS labeling build feature, and last but not least, parameterized connection variables that basically allow you to distinguish between different Perforce VCS routes if your project uses multiple Perforce connections. That was it for Perforce, and just a reminder, all of these features are available in all versions of TeamCity. If you want to check something out, just don't hesitate to go to jetbrains.com/TeamCity and download the latest version. TeamCity Professional is free, and you can just create a trial account in TeamCity Cloud and check it out right now. The next block of features is relevant only for the on-premises installation of TeamCity, not TeamCity Cloud. And this is about high availability that you get with a multi-server setup. This year, we've introduced the new main TeamCity node responsibility. This responsibility can be transferred to a secondary server in runtime. When this happens, the secondary server automatically receives all the responsibilities of the main nodes, including processing builds and managing build agents. So this basically gives you failover. You can continue working with TeamCity, running builds, doing your work, while your main server is under maintenance. One more high availability feature that was also added this year is the ability to control the number of builds on secondary nodes. Now you can define the share of builds that will be processed by each of the nodes. And just make sure that every server takes just the right amount of the build processing load and doesn't exceed its hardware capabilities. Next, let's talk about security. I've already mentioned that we've added two-factor authentication. But we have many other features and bug fixes and improvements. Now you can generate access tokens that are limited in time and scope. Say that you have a script that interacts with the TeamCity API, and now you can give it just enough rights to do its job, without the fear of giving it too much power. You no longer have to remember to revoke the access after the script finished. And this is the new access tokens. Another new feature is a separate permission for running personal builds with custom patches. This feature basically helps you ensure that all the code that is executed on build agents is authored only by the trusted users that have this permission. Next, let's talk about new core CI improvements. Starting this year, build triggers can now define custom parameters that can enable or disable build steps or change what happens inside your build scripts. For example, say that you have a build configuration that creates some build artifacts. Now, your nightly build that is triggered by a schedule trigger can be different from the build that is triggered by version control check-ins. Git shallow cloning. It lets you check out the latest version of source code with depth equal to 1. If you spin up clean, short-lived build agents in the cloud for every build, you don't need to create local Git mirrors on them, right? You only need the latest version of your source code. And Git shallow cloning lets you do exactly this. And we've removed the limitation of having only one VCS trigger per build configuration. TeamCity now allows you to add multiple triggers with different rules and different branch filters. For example, your release branch can be built immediately after the commit, but all other branches can have some different logic. For example, they can wait for their own VCS quiet period or some other settings. And finally, let's talk about the new Sakura UI. We're continuing to further improve it, making it faster and easier to use. And we've added a new UI assistant that shows new users how to navigate around the user interface. There we have improved the build status widget, updated the pending changes view, created new change details preview, added user avatars, and much, much more. This is Sakura UI. Yeah, basically that's it. So let me quickly run through what we've covered today. Authentication. There are new external services and two-factor authentication. New build runners, Node.js, Kotlin script, and C# script. A lot of great improvements for the Perforce integration. New high availability and security features. Core CI improvements with trigger-defined parameters, support for multiple VCS triggers, and more. And Sakura UI improvements. And this is not even mentioning a lot of minor features, usability improvements, performance improvements, bug fixes, and other features. So we highly recommend you to update to the latest version if you're not there yet. We've already started working on TeamCity 2022.1, and if you don't want to miss the news, just don't forget to follow us on Twitter or subscribe for product updates on the JetBrains website. And thanks for your attention. That's it.